Yeah.
Oh, is he dancing over here? Oh my goodness.
Good boy.
Another Python Spawn exclusive.
Oh,
Dallas Fort Worth. DWF Reptarium. Something like the Reptarium, Brian Barczyk style.
You over here filming
Oh
without
shit,
me?
what'd it do?
Filming without me?
Had 2 films. We got the double film crew.
Reptarium. No, I thought there was only one Reptarium.
Well, guess what? Now
There's
there's 2. It's official. Now, how you liking it so far?
I mean, good start.
Dum. Oh, there's a little taxidermies.
How are y'all doing today?
Hey, what's up, boss? How you doing, man?
Doing good, doing good. So some happy questions?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, even got a Reptiles for You show.
That's awesome.
Macaws.
Hell yeah, it's hilarious. It's awesome. So that's too cool. Cool.
Read the sign, guys. Don't touch.
Don't even get near.
Oh, look at this one. He picked all the feathers off himself.
That's too funny. Yeah, that's hilarious.
100%.
Getting a thousand.
Oh my God. It's a T-Rex.
It's not a T-Rex. You don't know your
A
dinosaurs.
velociraptor. On the camera, it's big. It looks like a T-Rex.
You don't know your dinosaurs.
It's not a velociraptor?
I don't know, but it ain't no T-Rex.
It's a
I'm
baby
not a
T-Rex.
dinosaur person.
Ooh, that little tree. Look at the head on that thing.
Look how healthy they look.
Holy guacamole.
Nice and thick.
They got some nice enclosures.
Really do.
How you liking the store?
This store is awesome. I like completely forgot I was filming for a while.
You left me.
I'm
Forgot
sorry.
you were with
You
me.
were on the phone.
I don't want to hear it. Rep the chip.
My name's Connor.
Connor, how you doing?
Nice to meet you
Kylan.
guys.
That's Tish.
Yeah, we just kind of want to know a background about this place. We Googled it. We were like, well, let's
course.
go. And I think a lot more people.
It's definitely a unique store for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. So I mean, this started out because I'm one of the owner's sons, and this started out just kind of as a passion project for him. He came into an inheritance back in 2014 that finally allowed him to kind of build his dream store, and that's
do
kind of
what
what
he
he
wanted.
aimed to do. Yeah. So when we first built the store back in 2014, we were over in the other corner
So,
with about half the square footage.
This is the original Reptarium. Okay.
Yeah, it's like this.
All right.
So yeah, we started back in 2014. It was just kind of a much smaller store, much smaller kind of scale on everything. We started out with just kind of some basic stuff. We didn't really have like the event side of the things going on yet. We were just a retail store.
Right.
The owner had wanted to do something like this for years because he's an English guy. He came in here back in '95 from the UK, and over there's not really a lot as far as like lizards and snakes that you can chase down. So when he came here, it was like he was on Pandora from Avatar. I mean, he was freaking out. So that's what kind of sparked his interest in all of this stuff. And then over the years, after it became such a big hobby of his, and his commercial construction business started kind of getting along, he wanted to try to move on into something like this, and so that's kind of what he did. So yeah, we opened back in April 2014. We've been running for almost 9 years now. We moved into this bigger space about 4 months ago, 3.5, 4 months ago. And yeah, it's just kind of been going along. It's been surprisingly pretty well. We're one of the only stores like this in the Metroplex, so that we kind of cornered the market for a good 4 or 5 years before a couple of competitors moved in. The owner is just a crackpot when it comes to designing stuff. He's big on building things. So a lot of these custom enclosures that you see, he basically just built himself. Something like this, the structure of it is just a fiberglass one-piece shower from Home Depot.
Oh, wow.
And then he got this curved glass actually as a steal from a business partner of his, from a friend of his years ago. And he got like 15 or 16 pieces of these and just decided to go crazy putting them on all over the place.
Oh, that's nice.
And these enclosures are pretty well designed. We actually broke these down and moved them from the other store and then reassembled them back in this store. So it's all just basically the same way it was. And then Kona, the African Gray, we actually just got the past couple of years. He's a rescue. He came from a home that was stressing him out quite a lot, and birds that are this intelligent, especially grays, will tend to pluck themselves when they get stressed out. So he looked like a little plucked chicken when he first showed up to us. So we affectionately call him Chicken Man. Yeah, Chicken Man. But he's actually been doing pretty well. The sides of his chest are coming back in. His wings have started to come back in really well. I think there may be some follicle damage on the very front of his chest because I haven't seen a lot of new growth there yet. But he's been doing well so far. He's, on paper, he's smarter than the other two birds. Those have the mental cognizance of like a 3-year-old basically. He's more of a, I believe he's more like a 6 or 8-year-old.
Wow.
So he's pretty smart. They can have a huge vocabulary. He's big on copying noises, like anything that comes from a phone, he loves mimicking. So he's got ringtones. He can sound like the FaceTime call ringtone. He's pretty smart. And then he teases Mango by saying his name. Yeah.
Voice box.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Good boy. Good boy. Yeah, so he's not a huge fan of me. I've actually just recently healed up from it, but he got my hand pretty good a couple days ago. But I guess I surprised him whenever I was getting out of his cage. He didn't really like it. But my coworker Sierra, he's super close with her. So she can do pretty much whatever she needs to do with
Are
him.
you bowing?
Are you stretching?
That looks like a bow to me. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go with the bow.
Nice to meet you. Oh, look at those wings. So yeah, he's a Congo African gray, so he's not going to be like the big grays that you see. So he's almost full grown as far as his size is going to go, but he's only about 4 or 5 years old. So he's still a young bird. And on paper, he can live past 70, 75 years. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, so
So
we're
they
gonna have
live
a lot
longer
of time.
than the macaws?
I mean, they're
About
pretty
the same,
similar.
yeah.
The macaws will typically live till about 50 or 60. The longest ones I've seen recorded.
Yeah.
But I believe the longest recorded African gray was like 78 or something crazy before it passed away. So they can live a long time.
You're gonna outlive me.
Yep, that's actually one of the jokes at the shop is whenever, you know, years and years down the road, and you feel like he doesn't want to be part of the store anymore. My coworker Sierra was like, yeah, I guess I've got to take him because he's the only one that really gets along with me. But they're pretty particular as far as how you interact with them. They're super social, which I'm not particularly used to. I'm more used to the reptiles that are just kind of, you take them for face value. You know, they either bite you if they don't like you or they don't, you
That's
know?
what I love about them.
Yes.
That's what I love about them. Either they don't
The
care
reptiles
who
can't
you
lie to
are.
you. They don't pretend they're
They
your
just
friend
don't care.
first.
Either they're cool with you or they're not.
Right,
Simple
right.
as it is.
We've been dabbling in fish, so we've got betas for sale
Oh,
here.
I already fell in love with that beta right
Yeah,
there.
some of them are looking pretty good. We're going to be going through later today to do a clean out on some of these because these are looking a little green in some areas.
Yeah, but you know what? This is way better than what they keep them in
Than a
New
deli
York.
cup?
Yeah.
It's a deli cup. I hate it.
We actually
Absolutely.
did something similar to that for the first few months that we had betas just because we didn't have this set up
Right,
yet.
yeah.
But as soon as we had the new store getting built, this is our goal so that way the betas can be happy and we can make sure that they're consistently cared for. And it just makes it easier to shop for them because in those cups they kind of look sad and you don't really get a
yeah.
good sense for how they're
Well,
going to
this
be.
is a cool setup
Yeah.
because the consumer has an
Mhm.
expectation of
And these are all
what
kits
it
from
should
Zoo
look
Med.
like.
So you can buy this kit from Zoo Med and it comes with pretty much everything except for the plant. And you can just get it all set up.
I've never seen a pretty female.
Mm-hmm.
Ever.
Oh, this guy's napping underneath the filter, it looks like.
Aw.
Betas are weird. I learned a lot about them in the past couple of years. I didn't realize a fish could take naps.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that either.
They definitely
Just go.
do. That's why some of these have like the floating logs in them because some of these guys will just float onto here and then just rest themselves on it and just sit there. They're strange little fish. These are our pride and joy of the shop. This has
Yeah.
been our big project for
Rock
the past few
monitors.
years.
Are these social?
Not necessarily.
He said don't touch them.
The big one down at the bottom, that's Steve, and the one on top is his wife, Terry.
Aw,
We decided to
I
name him
love it.
after the
Yeah,
Irwins because
oh,
it
yeah.
only makes sense.
I love it.
He was always a big advocate of course, crocodiles and monitor lizards, so they're a combination of the two, so it's only fitting. They're not too bad. The male, because I'm not the one that's usually in there, but my coworkers that are, I mean, they can work around the male pretty consistently. The female is the spicy one.
Oh, okay.
So we've always had to be careful with her, but recently they've both gotten a little bit cantankerous, so we have to be pretty careful when we're in there because they can cross that enclosure in seconds. They're
Quick,
fast.
yeah.
That's their domain. And we weren't originally going to carry crocodile monitors. When we first opened the store, we actually had caimans,
Oh,
and that was going to be kind of our big mascot
right.
project.
Yeah.
But we didn't realize that the city of Plano especially had an ordinance against them. So after the first day that we opened, the city came in and said, you guys have got to get these out of here. So we unfortunately had to get them back to the breeder that we got them from. And then funny enough, they were so against a 4-foot dwarf caiman, but they're totally fine with a 6-foot crocodile monitor. So, but I mean, it's just more publicity for us. It's a cooler species in my opinion.
Super cool.
There's not a lot of people out there that are privately breeding crocodile monitors, especially stores like us. So that's kind of a nice feather in our cap. And they're a really interesting species to work with because they're super smart.
That is cool. Well, when were you gonna tell me?
I was gonna tell you when you.
I thought you handed it to me on record.
And bearded dragons are a species that's really commonly rehomed. So that's one of our other projects that we do here is we help people that need to rehome their bearded dragons find good homes for them. So we'll get them set up and ready to go enclosures. So if somebody wanted to get this, they would take
Just
the entire
take the
thing
whole
home.
thing, yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Perfect.
So it's a nice minimal setup for it. They can add things to it over time if they want to, but it's a really great baseline.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something that we do on a pretty regular basis because unfortunately, I mean, as much as we try to mitigate against it, because that's why we're as thorough as we are when people are looking to get animals to make sure that they're committed to it. But there are some people that will, you know, just get them on a whim for their kids because they want to make their kids happy, and I totally understand that. I'm a new father myself, but it's not something I would always recommend
Well,
doing
what
with
always
animals.
happens usually is the parent turns into the
They end up becoming
owner.
the main caretaker,
Yeah, exactly,
yeah. And a lot of times, a lot of these parents are, you know, dual income, they're working.
Yeah.
They can't always be home to pay attention to the dragon, so
Yeah.
they do what's best and they find somewhere to rehome it for them, and that's kind of a service that we provide. We've got our invertebrates over in these little cabinets that we like to display just to keep everything more secure. Because these are some of the easiest things to just pick up and walk out with, but also there's some species in these cabinets that are medically significant. We don't want just anybody being able to put their hands in there. Really cool giant gold millipedes.
And this is indigenous to Texas, huh?
Yep, they sure are.
Super cool.
Yeah, we got a crevice spider in here that's pretty neat, but he's big on hiding, so he's not typically out, but he's back in that log if you can manage to see him. And then we're always into trying to get as many educational items as we can. So we have things like the skeletons, the wet specimens, things that we can teach people about with, butterflies. That's not necessarily my wheelhouse, but it's definitely something cool to have.
Super cool.
Oh yeah. We've got tons of different species of great tarantula in here. Anything from, you know, tiny little slings that are fractions of an inch to
You have the bird eater.
Significant species. They do indeed have a lot of I'll have to be very careful because as big as he
things
is,
are
they
fast.
move fast.
Yes, they can go.
Be very, very careful.
Oh, I see him. He's towards the
Towards the
ball.
back.
Yeah, he's by the ball.
We'll probably move this around and go in from the other side. Actually use something here so that way I'm not directly putting myself in danger.
Right.
He's still got some growing to do. He's a very young one.
But cool.
They'll get the
Super
typical
cool.
dinner plate size.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ooh, we looking at
Dinner
tarantulas?
plate size. Yeah, that was a bird eater.
And then
baby one.
We've got great starter species for people to kind of get into the hobby. Things like the curly hairs. These are a fun species.
Are they somewhat tame?
These are handleable, absolutely.
Ooh, let's see.
We have to be careful because they can be very fast and they're very fragile.
Oh, it's I know. I have had many, many.
See which one's going to be a good one to work with. This guy here.
Think I can sneak a curly hair home?
This is a
On the plane.
big one. Just have to be very gentle with it.
So if I get bit, you know, or the
This
hairs.
species, yeah, this species is more likely to kick hairs than bite.
This is my first one. It's the first one I ever had.
You ever owned the curly hair?
Yep, first one.
Let's see how you're gonna react because sometimes they just don't want to be messed with.
Trying to throw some hairs.
Kind of gauge it at first because I don't want to stress them out too much.
No, I completely agree.
There you go, buddy. You're okay. That's the key with these. You just got to be patient and move very slow
Super cool.
because they can go from 0 to teleport very fast.
It's amazing.
Even the
Because they seem
slower
like they're so
species.
lethargic.
Right, because they're testing you the whole time to
Yeah.
see what's going on. They're like, why is this tree moving? What's going on? All right, buddy. I convinced you to get onto my hand for a minute.
Since it's so big, you think it's a female?
I'm not actually quite sure. It's difficult to tell with tarantulas until they mature out.
Super cool.
That's really big.
And then you just got to be super still. Move really slow. You're okay. I convinced you to go over here for me. You gotta support yourself. You're okay. There you go.
He's a good baby.
Yeah, I mean, they're aptly named. They're super fuzzy and curly, so
Yeah.
that's what makes them kind of approachable for some of the kids that are getting into tarantulas, because they're not quite as scary looking.
They're not even a little scary.
No, they're
They're
cute.
fuzzy puppies.
The jumping spiders have exploded in popularity in the past
Oh, I
couple
know.
of years.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, everybody's
It's
wanting the
crazy.
jumping spiders.
Yeah.
And it's because those are adorable too.
Yep.
Easy and careful.
Plus, there's that animation.
they don't
video
get that
came out,
big,
Lucas
though.
the spider that's based off of a jumping spider, so everybody wants one. But no, the jumping stay small. I mean,
Yeah,
the
they're
bigs are
staying-
looking about
yeah.
that. You know,
Yeah.
they're not too big at all.
I used to catch those all the time.
Yeah, that's actually a lot of the
I
ones that
had
we get.
no idea that it was going.
A lot of them, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard to find ones that are captive born and bred. But we do get some in as well that are captive born and bred. That's kind of our main focus here is we try to, get 99.9%
Right,
of what
yeah.
we do is captive born and bred from local sources. We're not big advocates on, importing. That and just more and more countries aren't importing or exporting their local species anymore as much as they used to.
You're so cute.
Convince you to
so
turn around and go that way, please. Nope. Don't get flighty on me now. You're okay.
Don't
There
even
we
want
go.
to go nowhere. I just wanted to go home.
There we go. Sorry, buddy. I know you don't like being messed with that much. But yeah, then we've got other common species like the pink toads. These are super
Oh, I
cool
love the
species
pink
as
toads.
well.
That's another one. The first arboreal species I had.
Yeah,
Love
that's a
them.
pretty common starter for some people
Mm-hmm.
as well. The rose hairs used to be the go-to starter for people, but these have been heavily affected by the fact that their home country, a lot of them come from Chile,
Okay.
and they stopped exporting them. So now it's only captive born and bred examples.
yeah.
So they went from a common, $40 to $60 tarantula
Right.
to, this sling is $200.
Wow.
But it's still a really neat species in my
Yeah.
opinion. It's just,
get
tough to spend that much on a sling. But if you know what you're doing, these are completely viable. They're just more fragile, so you have to be really careful with them.
Now, question: are you guys going to be vending?
At the NARVC?
Yes.
We are.
We'll
Cool.
be there.
So we'll.
Yep, so we'll be at the show this weekend. We're not going to have like a ton of live
Right.
animals there. It's
Yeah.
going to be product, a few
Right,
live animals.
yes.
We'll be handing out flyers. We'll have some vision cages there with us to sell as well.
Absolutely.
We bring more live animals than we do product because, most of the product can just stay here.
Right.
People can come here for
Yeah.
the show with their coupons and, do their shopping that
Yep.
way.
Yep.
And then this side of the store is my favorite.
Oh, and there's more.
And